What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Quarantine Reviewers. I'm Ari,
How's it going, guys? I'm Zach.
and we are back for another review of The Witcher, Episode 5. Toss a coin to your Witcher. This is going to be a good one. Zach shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your
It's
head,
just the
Zach?
song. It's just the song. It's the bard. It's the only problem I have. Although I will admit, this episode he redeemed himself a little. I thought the
Yeah,
character was somewhat amusing this time around.
you want to know why he was tolerable this episode, Jaskier? Because he didn't speak for half of it. His throat was closed, and he was asleep for most of it. So he was
Good
just a
point.
plot device as opposed to like an active annoyance. I'm going to start with my reaction. I thought this was the best episode so far of The Witcher, and I'll tell you why. This was the episode where I started to care about the characters. I genuinely, this episode, for the first time, I was like, I'm into these characters and I care what happens to them. Ciri's plotline, not so much. Like, I had the highest expectations for that pretty much at the beginning, and it hasn't gone anywhere so far. We can see now it's coming to a climax, but let's just focus on Geralt and Yennefer right now. I am totally bought in. I love The Witcher now. I think he's so sick. Like, I don't know. This episode, it just made me kind of fall in love with them and understand what they're all about. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, well, what you were saying earlier about how it's the first time you connected to the characters, right? And I think it's probably because it's the first time we're seeing two of the main characters actually interact, right?
Mm,
And so it's the first time that we don't just see them in their own separate plot lines. So now that they're actually coming together, there's more of like a plot resolve where we can finally see like where the story is actually going, which I think is
yeah.
something that I liked about this episode the most. In terms of Ciri's plotline, just when you were talking about it, I think, similar to Game of Thrones, obviously, when we talked, we're obviously huge Game of Thrones fans. Similar to that show, Daenerys, while was a huge character in the first few seasons, her plot really didn't ramp up until about the fourth or fifth season when she started to take over Marine and things like that. And while she was definitely a big presence in at least every episode, I can kind of see the connection there as to why maybe her plot line is kind of cut the shortest out of all of them.
Sure.
But in terms of my overall reaction, I do agree. I did like this one. Don't know if I liked it more than the last one, but overall, lots of magic, lots of fantasy things that I really die for. So yeah,
Mhm.
overall, really great episode.
Yeah. So let's kind of take it from the beginning quickly. We had this whole scene with the Jinn at the beginning, which I, again, Jaskier was being annoying at the beginning, but it was like an exciting dynamic. Like, it was kind of building up to something exciting happening. Jaskier gets injured, and then they have to go find Yennefer. You picked up a lot earlier than me that it was going to be Yennefer that they were going to see. And then once they do see her, this is what I found so amazing. We've seen Yennefer this whole time, but then they walk into this room where she's doing a big like illusion for them.
Yeah.
And it was like we had never met her before. She put on this whole new facade to see
Yeah.
The Witcher. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so interested in how she's able to like be this professional now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. The last episode we saw it was the first one we saw her since her being turned beautiful, correct?
Yeah.
So you're right, because the last episode we saw her, she wasn't that much she didn't have that much of plot in the last episode. She had she was running with the baby and the woman, and they were running through the portals, but that was still a
Yeah.
pretty small part of the episode. So you're right, it is kind of weird to now in this episode see her as a very different character than the last time we saw her in a full length episode when she was still in training in that
Hmm.
island I can't forget the name of. But you're right, that intro scene when they first come in is definitely one that I thought was really cool when she's doing the whole illusion and things like that. I have a
Yeah.
question for you though.
Yeah.
In terms of Geralt's and the Bard's tasks they seem to go on every episode, it feels as if Geralt is always doing things to help the Bard. He's always with him and trying to, like when he went to the King's Castle with him to sing his songs, and then now when they're going to go find the Jinn and things like that, it seems like
Mhm.
he's always doing things to like protect the Bard, but it doesn't seem that that'd be something in his character because he doesn't really seem to care for the guy at all.
Yeah. It's interesting. Again, like I think I teased this a bit in the last episode, but there's these things in like Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm gonna butcher this, so if I do butcher it, someone can just chirp me in the comments. But there's this thing in Dungeons and Dragons which is like alignments. So it's like chaotic evil, good evil, like neutral or no, neutral lawful, neutral
Right,
chaotic.
right.
that kind of thing. And I see the Witcher as neutral, like right in the middle. He's not evil. He's not good. He's not lawful. He's not chaotic. He's so neutral that he will not owe a debt to anyone. He cannot owe a debt. If someone, when Jaskier kind of tries to help him, he has to help him back. Yennefer saved Jaskier's life for the Witcher, so he has to save Yennefer now. Right. And it's all these things. Now, it is borderline with, I do see what you're saying with Jaskier. It's borderlining on friendship, which doesn't really add up with his whole thing, which is the Witcher's not supposed to have any emotions. But clearly he feels something for people. So
yeah, good point. Good point.
Anyway, we're coming up on the end. I think we're going a bit above 5 minutes this one, but whatever. What is your rating, Zach?
Yeah, so I think we're going to switch up the rating structure now, and I think we're going to move to out of 4 stars. So after looking at, watching the episode and agreeing with a lot of the things we said about the characters and finally getting to see that development there, I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same. We're going to keep this going for the rest of the episodes. 1 star, bad. 2 stars, average. 3 stars, good. 4 stars, great. So I think this was a borderline great episode. I loved it. So 3.5. Thank you guys, and stay tuned for next one.
See you next time.